been a Coast Guard rescue swimmer. That's what I was wired to do. I would have loved that job.
That sounds like a really scary job too, actually.
Dude, I would have loved that.
It does seem scary.
I'm not at all
rescuing
scared.
someone who's drowning. I
Like,
feel
how
like
many-
unless
how
you're
mu-
incredibly
how much
good,
more
they're going to
often-
drown you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how much more often are people drowning as opposed to going to war?
Dude, I want them to drown. I went to this a fly-in, like this paramotor thing, and it was on this small peninsula. So if you go up 1,000 feet, you can see the ocean and you can see the bay at the same time. People like to go over. The number one reason people die in paramotors is not crashing; it's drowning. Like that's the number one thing that kills people.
I was going to say heart disease.
And I'm driving
Power
there
lines.
daydreaming. I'm like, I hope one of these fuckers goes down. Like, should I just jump out of my paramotor and save him from there? Or should I land and then swim out into the ocean? I'm coming up with my savior plan as just hoping
You just
someone
cut
land
free from your whole rig
Right?
and go into a dive.
I thought about it. I was like, do I do a somersault out or do I just jump out?
You thought about
I was thinking like
Yeah.
Captain America, like jumping right in, like just a serious dive, like from
Dude.
so high up.
If you get into some sort of water-related accident near me, you've got a friend, right? It's because I'm all about that shit. I would.
You didn't save Kyle from that turtle.
I didn't, but yeah, dude, I was so I'm still to this day at like 43 years old. I daydream about people drowning near me. I'll pluck your ass right out.
I daydream about
That's
stuff.
that's such a strange fantasy.
So you don't. I was a lifeguard for 4 years on the ocean, and I had like 130 rescues or something like that. So
Whoa.
yeah,
But like I feel like that's just the energy you're bringing around you because you're sitting there posted up on your lifeguard perch and you're like, I just want someone to drown.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I was
want
a
someone
bad
to-
guard.
People splash, like someone just splashes someone else and you're like fucking running over there like Speedo, like I got you. They're like, we're good.
No,
Like,
it wasn't that. It was
You're
your.
daring children to go to the furthest bank. Who can make it to that sandbank way out
It's
there?
like dangerous out, and the more responsible lifeguards are like, "Come on in." I'm in my head anyway, thinking, "You pussies, you can do it." Like, go ahead, go. Fuck, you're good, right? It just, oh man, if people drown or just even if they just got sucked out to sea, like some 6-year-old with a strong offshore wind on a boogie board, they're never coming home. And I am happy as a pig in mud. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, he's out there forever. And by the time you get to him, he's like twice as far out as he was before. It's my favorite day. The 19-year-old me, and we called it a can, that orange torpedo thing. Me and that thing were about as good a rescue tool as you'd need. I pull you back.
Did you ever watch Baywatch just because it was what you did, not because of the titties?
Dude, the Baywatch rescues were so terrible, and I was surprised to see that
I knew you
that
had
other
strong
people.
opinions about Baywatch.
Yeah, no.
What was most ridiculous about the Baywatch?
The
rescue?
thing that bothered me most was that there were different ocean conditions in the same rescue, right? Like they'd film small waves up close to make them look like they were big waves, and then it'd be 3 different days, and I'm like, doesn't everybody see this? Like these are obviously different ocean conditions.
Flag warning colors in the background kind of thing.
No, the ocean conditions themselves. Like one's like a legit Hawaii large wave, another is like a small Californian flat day, and then there's some medium day, and I'm like, this just doesn't make any fucking sense. Like these aren't even rescues, they're just pretending, and then like a fight scene, they just take the camera and splash it around so you can't tell what's going on. That wasn't what rescues were like.
You wanting to egg people on and get them to start drowning so you can help reminds me of some hockey refs I knew growing up, because basically the way it is when you're young is like if you're 12 years old, they don't hire a professional or even a 20-year-old referee to come out. Usually it's like a 15-year-old or someone a few years older who's still in the league of that center. Maybe just one age bracket up. And instead, because you're supposed to, they take fighting very seriously in kids hockey, because you obviously don't want kids fighting on razor blades with weapons. And so you're supposed to, if they start quarreling, you go over and you immediately grab them and pull them apart, and then they both get in severe trouble. But some of these guys, you could tell they had a little fantasy of wanting to stop a fight, because being 15 when there's a bunch of 12-year-olds playing around you is like being just a giant, just a powerhouse, you're a head taller than everyone. And so when little scuffs would start, instead of skating over really quick or something, a lot of them would just be kind of gliding and be like, "Hey, you guys gonna fight? What, are you guys fighting? Are you fighting?" Just trying to almost like egg it on to get them to be like, "No, are you fighting? Oh, yeah, we're fighting." And like just trying to like get it going because that was their little fantasy to break up a fight like a real hockey ref. Like that, I don't know. It reminded me of your trying to get people drowned.
That's like a weird like power trip.
The first time there was a hockey fight that like I was present for, I jumped in as third man in, and in my head I was being like a good teammate. And I'm new to hockey, organized hockey anyway. I had played some like bullshit, and it wasn't that organized, but it's men's league, and I played some bullshit like roller hockey and stuff. But there's a different vibe. Like roller hockey is pretty much like kids.
Very, very laid back.
Yeah. In ice hockey, everyone's playing position. A lot of these guys played formally at one level or another. It's different. So when my teammate got into a fight, it was like, my teammate's in a fight, I'm in a fight, right? That's just how this goes. I was so disappointed. Everybody hated me, even my own team. It was so looked down upon, and like I never did that again. And then
that's like if you were fighting Joe Lozon.
I don't understand what was bad about it.
Third man in is like disgraceful. Yeah. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, so like if two people are fighting in hockey, you know, Harley, you're Canadian. Like if a third guy, even if your teammate's getting wailed on, you don't just jump in and grab the other guy in the middle of a fight and start fighting him. You know, like third man in. You let the fight resolve. It's kind of like if Woody was wrestling Joe Lozon and getting his ass beat, and then I ran into the ring and kicked Joe in the side of the head unexpectedly and was like, "I got you, Woody." Woody would be like, "What the fuck? What the fuck, Joe? Are you okay? You just kicked him right in the temple. You didn't even know."
Yeah,
oh my God.
But see, hockey would be so cool if it could turn into a Royal Rumble at any given moment.
Dude, spend time on YouTube. Just type in line brawls. It literally happened last season that the Calgary Flames and the Vancouver Canucks were squaring off. First face-off of the game, the Flames coach pulls his entire first line back, and he puts his fourth line out there.
Jesus.
Fourth line is the line that's for brawling and grinding, and so he takes all his skill players out, puts his fourth line in. The crazy guy who used to be the Vancouver coach, John Tortorella, is screaming, like past that glass partition between the coaches, screaming at the Calgary coach, and he pulls his guys off, and he puts his fourth line out there. And so the first face-off of the game, it's all fourth line. The face-off, like someone barely touches the puck, and everybody starts fighting just with the person next to him. And it was great. That was a great game.
It would have been cooler. So home team gets last line change, right, before a face-off?
And Tortorella went over to the Calgary Flames locker room after the period, and they had to have his assistant coaches and security holding him as he was screaming into the Calgary locker room, calling like the coach a coward and a bunch of ridiculous shit. But yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Later on, when hockey fights broke out, I found them real easy to break up. Like I got to be casual about it, and all you got to do is like cover the guy's eyes and pull him back. Like, and the hockey glove makes your hand like enormous. And I would just pull them back. Their head would go, their face would follow. They'd be blinded. It was super easy to break up fights.
Because hockey fights, like those, like Ryan Reeves, the Blues enforcer. If he gets in a fight with you on the ice, you're in deep shit because he's gonna beat your ass. Like all those guys' balance is good enough that they can, cut and rebalance and while they're hitting you. Just a couple of men's league guys, like those fights never really go anywhere because their legs aren't strong enough to rebalance themselves in the middle of the fight, and it's usually like one or two punches, and then they're both exhausted, and they we're good, right?
Another thing,
or both fall over, and the one guy pulls the other one down.
About men's leagues fights is oftentimes the better hockey player wins the fight, because it's not just about who's tougher or who's stronger or whatever. A lot of it has to do with who's steadier on their skates. So like even if you're like a skinny kind of like a hockey player from Miracle on Ice, right? All those guys were like skinny college kids. Even if you're one of them, just being able to toss the other guy around, you can control the distance, push him away, bring him back, push him away. You might be surprised how worthless you are at fighting when you're on skates and you suck at it. So.
Yeah, it's really hard to do.
Yeah. Interesting show. Getting like MMA fighters to fight like figure skaters, but they're both on skates on the ice.
Figure skater fighting. I'd like to see that.
It's just like taking like people like fighting Mike Tyson, but you're like a professional scuba diver, and you're like swimming circles around him, literally, like, and you fight underwater. I'm saying, like, taking professional fighters and like putting them out of their element.
Yeah, I mean, that fits in perfectly with the idea I've wanted for as long as I can remember, where every year you take the Major League Baseball team that wins it all, you put them up against the Stanley Cup champion in American football. And so it's two sports that they don't play, or two teams and you make them play a sport against each other that they don't play. So a baseball team playing a hockey team in football, or a football team playing a hockey team in baseball.
I would say, like, if you do that, it's got to be like baseball and basketball, because like if you're gonna take like football and hockey, they're each just gonna get injured in each other's sports.
But you have them play a third sport, right? Football versus hockey in basketball.
That's what he was saying, though, is that like if you just go and try and play football or hockey as a baseball player, you're pretty likely to get hurt because you're not going to know what you're doing. So he was saying like you'd have to take a hockey team versus a baseball team.
No, I was saying like contact sports should just be out of the question, because at this level these guys could hurt themselves so badly. It would be like basketball, baseball. But then that's kind of, I wonder I feel like that's just a boring game. Like basketball players playing baseball, if you don't know how, you're not good at baseball.
That would suck. Yeah.
It has to be
shout out to Michael Jordan.
It almost has to be a contact sport for it to be fun, because you want to see a guy like one of those 7'2" basketball guys who looks like a stick bug having to like run down the field with his giant legs playing football, and then he just gets wrecked by some enforcer from the NHL, or he just catches it and like steps over him with his big gangly legs, his Slender Man figure.
Basketball and soccer would be good too.
That would be good.
I'm looking forward to gladiatorial games in the future, but I always go back to that. I think that some sort of Running Man type show is the future, where we put people in some sort of gladiatorial experience and then we execute them on TV.
Running Man.
Maybe not execute, but I like challenging them. I do like the idea that like if it's in the future and we have so many people anyways and there's too many people, it's just like, hey, listen, if this guy's down on his luck and he wants to take a shot at Running Man, like let him do it. Like
I was going to use prisoners.
If someone doesn't want to be on the planet, I'm not saying like they're depressed or they have a mental condition. They're just like, my girlfriend left me, and I'm going to prove to her that I'm the guy because I was always a deadbeat, and I'm going to win the 450,000 Bitcoin in the future when I win the Running Man. And like, so if he's going to do it and he wants to risk his life, let him do it. I mean, some people like risk all their money and they basically just die a slow death. Someone wants to risk their life for entertainment. I mean,